Foreign Minister Cho Tae-yeol visits Beijing for talks with his Chinese counterpart Wang at a time when tensions are high on the Korean peninsula and around the world. The dispute between the government and doctors is further heating up over the issue of how the authorities came up with the number of new students for its medical school quota expansion plan, with the case being taken to court. The White House says it has discussed with Israel ways to eliminate Hamas in Rafah without resorting to a ground invasion. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, meanwhile, has reaffirmed his will to continue fighting. It's May 13, 2024. This is Newscenter. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Yoon Min. We start this evening over in Beijing, where South Korean Foreign Minister Cho Tae-yeol is currently visiting. His conversation with his Chinese counterpart Wang comes at a critical time, seeking new momentum in Korea-China relations while tensions are high on the Korean peninsula and around the world. Our correspondent Kim Jong-sil reports.
Foreign Minister Cho Tae-yeol expressed his hopes for better ties with China before leaving for Beijing on Monday morning.
This is an important first step in creating new momentum in South Korea-China relations. It's an important opportunity to revitalize strategic communication between the two countries amid a tough geopolitical environment. I hope to discuss ways to promote bilateral relations and issues on the Korean Peninsula and other regional and global matters.
He said he hopes to have an honest and deep conversation with his Chinese counterpart Wang, whom he's meeting on Monday evening, Korea Standard Time. When asked if he would raise the issue of China's forced repatriation of North Korean defectors, Minister Cho responded as follows.
The issue is an important concern of our government, so of course I will raise it and listen to what China has to say.
Other key issues also were related to North Korea.
North Korea's nuclear issue is our biggest security concern. It is also an issue that China has to play an important role in. So it will definitely be discussed as one of the key issues.
Military cooperation between Moscow and Pyongyang will also be discussed in the hopes of Beijing's constructive role in this matter. When asked about Beijing possibly raising issues regarding South Korea's possible joining of AUKUS, a security partnership between Australia, the UK and the US, or the strengthening ties between Seoul, Washington and Tokyo, the minister said he would make the government's position clear based on principles. But he didn't forget to stress that he will focus on further developing Seoul-Beijing ties in areas with high potential. Details of the possible trilateral summit between Seoul, Beijing, and Tokyo later this month will also likely be discussed. This is the first time in 6.5 years for a South Korean foreign minister to visit Beijing. Kim Jong-sil, Arirang News.
As South Korea's online platform giant Naver has been facing pressure from the Japanese government to sell its shares in Line Yahoo, the company behind Japan's popular messaging app Line, criticism has emerged. The presidential office, for its part, has vowed to take all possible measures for the interests of the Korean firm. Moon Hye-ryun explains.
The South Korean government has spoken up to support Naver as it faces foreign pressure to sell its shares in Line Yahoo. Presidential Chief of Staff for Policy Sung Tae-yoon briefed reporters on Monday afternoon about the government's current stance and future plans to assist Naver with the issue.
The government's response has so far reflected Naver's position as much as possible and will continue to support Naver with any future developments.
He stated that the government has been in communication with both Naver and the Japanese government and is waiting for the firm to make its stance clear to provide as much support as possible. Last Friday, Naver released an official statement saying that it was currently undergoing discussions with SoftBank to obtain the best result possible for the company, and the possibility of selling its shares was on the table. After a data leak from the messaging app Line last year, the Japanese government directed its operator in March to review its capital relationship with Naver to prevent it from happening again. Line Yahoo is mostly owned by A Holdings, which is a joint venture with equal stakes between South Korea's Naver and Japan's SoftBank, the firm that has been leveraging Tokyo's pressure to reduce Naver's control by slashing the South Korean firm's equity. Seoul has been called on to respond to the situation because Naver lacks communication channels with the Japanese government, whose moves have widely faced criticism as Naver is responsible for most of Line's technology. Before the briefing, the Ministry of Science and ICT stated last Friday that it regrets the pressure placed on Naver by Tokyo and will respond firmly and forcefully to any discriminatory action against South Korean firms. It also pledged support for measures to strengthen information security at the company to address the user information leaks, should the firm wish to continue holding its stake in Line Yahoo. But on Monday, the firm's union spoke out against Naver's possible divestment of its stake in Line Yahoo, adding that the firm needs to protect the technology and know-how of its workers that have gone into building Line. 문혜련, Arirang News.
President Yoon has ordered the creation of a senior secretary role to help tackle the nation's low birth rate. That's according to presidential spokesperson Kim Soo-kyung on Monday, following the president's weekly meeting with his senior secretaries. An official added that the top office will be reaching out to experts and scholars in the field to create the role as soon as possible, calling the situation one of the biggest problems that affects the sustainability of the nation. This also comes as President Yoon announced that he will push for a new ministry to tackle the issue, with the minister also holding the Deputy Prime Minister for Social Affairs role. According to Statistics Korea, the country's total fertility rate in the fourth quarter of 2023 was 0.65. The new rival floor leaders of the ruling People Power Party and the main opposition Democratic Party of Korea held an official meet and greet at the National Assembly on Monday. The PPP's Chu Kyung-ho visited Park Chan-dae of the DP at his office for a closed discussion lasting around 10 minutes. While no official announcements were made, they acknowledged the importance of active communication between the political parties in achieving legislative goals, sharing their desire to meet every week. This was the first meeting between them, both soon-to-be third-term lawmakers elected to the floor leader position earlier this month. The dispute between the government and doctors is further heating up over the issue of how the authorities came up with the number of new students for its medical school quota expansion plan, with the case being taken to court. An Sung-jin has the latest.
With the Seoul High Court set to rule this week on whether the medical school quota has to be enforced, the medical community disclosed to the public on Monday the evidence submitted by the government to the court. The government last week submitted approximately 50 items of documented evidence to support its decision to increase the quota. This included research reports which were used as a basis for the quota number, as well as meeting records from the Medical School Quota Allocation Committee. The medical community is arguing that the meeting to make the decision was too brief, lasting just an hour, and was nothing more than a formal act to confirm the number brought by the government. This was further elaborated during a press conference held on Monday afternoon as the chairman of the Medical Professor Association of Korea, Kim Chang-soo, expressed his shock as there were no more than 3 reports used to back the government's position. The Medical Professor Association of Korea and the Korean Academy of Medical Sciences argue that after evaluating the documented evidence, there is not enough evidence to support the medical school quota expansion to 2,000. However, the government reiterates that the number was finalized after various discussions. The Prime Minister elaborated on this during a Central Disaster and Safety Countermeasure Headquarters meeting on Monday.
Revealing evidence is interfering with a fair trial to pressure the judiciary by swaying the public opinion. The government decided to increase the quota number based on research that there would be a shortage of nearly 10,000 doctors in 2035.
This comes as medical students, professors, and trainee doctors filed an application with the Seoul High Court to suspend the enforcement of the quota expansion. After reviewing the submitted materials, the Seoul High Court will make its decision by the 17th. This decision will be pivotal in the conflict between the medical school and the government. If the application is accepted, it will put the brakes on the increase for next year. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
Turning to the war in the Middle East, the White House says it is discussing with Israel strategies to eliminate Hamas in Rafah without initiating a large-scale ground invasion. This development follows Prime Minister Netanyahu's reaffirmation of Israel's commitment to its ongoing military effort. Shin Se-byuk reports.
The United States and Israel are exploring strategies to eliminate Hamas in Rafah without resorting to a large-scale ground invasion. According to the White House, U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan had a phone conversation on Sunday with Israeli National Security Advisor Chaki Hanegbi, discussing alternative actions to defeat Hamas throughout Gaza. Sullivan reiterated President Joe Biden's long-standing concerns about a potential ground invasion that could result in massive civilian casualties. Hanegbi, in response, gave his assurances that Israel is taking U.S. concerns into account. The talks came following Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's video message released on Sunday, reaffirming Israel's commitment to continue to fight.
Keep going until victory, and that's how we will do it. The spirit of the people, with God's help, will continue to lift us up in the faithful challenges that are still ahead of us and that we had in our 76 years of independence.
Speaking at a Yad Labanim ceremony for fallen soldiers held in Jerusalem, Netanyahu said that they have completed about half of the war, but also said they are committed to completing this sacred task as it is the only way to defeat Hamas. On the same day, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken shared his thoughts on a recent report by the State Department on Israel's use of weapons sent by the U.S. after Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th.
We don't have double standards. We treat Israel, one of our closest allies and partners, just as we would treat any other country, including in assessing something like international humanitarian law and its compliance with that law.
While the report, which was submitted to Congress last Friday, indicated that Israel may have violated international humanitarian law, Blinken highlighted the difficulty of coming to that conclusion during wartime. He also stressed the Biden administration's stance that the U.S. would not support Israel and send weapons if Israel decides to go ahead with a full-scale invasion of Rafah. Shin Se-byuk, Arirang News.
K-pop's expanding popularity is not a new thing, but it is indeed notable to see how more and more K-pop artists are being invited to major music festivals around the world. Our Kim Bo-kyung tells us who is going where and why it is significant.
More and more K-pop artists are being invited to global music festivals abroad. Of course, it is not surprising to see major festivals asking K-pop acts to shine at the show, and we are indeed seeing more debuting at large-scale stadiums and festivals. Leading such a trend is 17, the 13-member act that is joining the lineup for this year's Glastonbury Festival in the UK. The 5-day festival is set to take place from June 26th to 30th, and 17 is booked for Glastonbury's Pyramid Stage, a first for a K-pop act in the festival's 50-year history. Lollapalooza Berlin is where K-pop fans can also enjoy a 17 performance as well, as the boy band has been invited to headline the festival slated for early September. 17 is not the only K-pop act that is having a chance to headline major music festivals. Stray Kids too will headline on Lollapalooza, this time in Chicago in August, for the second straight year after performing at Lollapalooza Paris last July, another first for a K-pop artist. For the Chicago version, K-pop girl groups IVE and Vicha are also invited to perform. Japan is not an exception. Summer Sonic in August is set to feature the largest number of K-pop acts in the Japanese music festival's history, with the lineup including IVE, NCT Dream, singer-songwriter duo Akmu, Zero Base One. Adding to that, Twice and 17 are expected to hold a concert at Nissan Stadium, Japan's largest stadium with 75,000 seats, for the first time since TVXQ's concert there. An expert says such performances at music festivals can upgrade K-pop acts' live performance skills and their brands.
In South Korea, idols do more broadcast activities than concerts most of the time. But by headlining such global music festivals, they can upgrade themselves to become live performance artists on the global stage, adding more value to their own brands.
Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
A space-out competition has taken place here in the capital, challenging participants to space out for 90 minutes in the most relaxed manner to claim victory. Our Yoon explains what this event is all about.
Do you ever want to just space out and do nothing for a while? Well, there is a place where people gather to do that and maybe even win a trophy. Seoul City government hosted the 10th Space Out competition on Sunday at the Banpo Hangang Park.
I wanted to apply for this competition as this competition is very interesting to me. It underlines the importance of taking time for ourselves and relax and meditation.
This year, more than 2,700 teams applied to participate in the competition, and 80 individuals or teams of up to 3 members were selected. Participants spanning from celebrities to athletes were there to express their individuality, adding to the enjoyment of the competition.
We are bakers, so it's really hot in front of the oven. I found myself wanting to empty my mind.
After working so hard, I feel confident about spacing out.
As I've entered my 60s, I wanted to try new things and explore a variety of experiences. I don't necessarily have ambitions of winning first place. Instead, I'm cherishing it as a wonderful experience.
And with the bell ring to start the competition, each participant settled into their own comfortable state of spacing out. Surprisingly, the presence of a crowd didn't seem to disrupt their peaceful state of mind.
To win, participants need to maintain a blank state by not moving or even thinking about anything for 90 minutes. Wristband heart rate monitors will check every 15 minutes.
Visual artist Upsiang is the organizer of the event. She says the selection process for participants prioritizes the reasons for the application, while also wishing to bring together a diverse group of people in terms of age, gender, and occupation.
My wish is that everyone can collectively experience a moment of true relaxation during this unique occasion.
While some participants chose to withdraw midway, others demonstrated remarkable endurance. After the 90-minute space-out session, the winner was determined based on 2 factors. Firstly, participants' heart rate graphs were analyzed to measure relaxation levels. And secondly, through on-site voting by onlookers, who selected their favorite participant based on the stories that led them to apply. In the end, Kwon So-ah, a freelance broadcaster who previously worked as a reporter at Arirang, took the trophy.
I space out often, but it feels like my heart rate is around 150 beats per minute right now.
Even without a cash prize, people seem to enjoy the significance and meaning imparted by the event, because we all need to find moments of relaxation and peace amidst the hustle and bustle of our busy lives. Yoon, Arirang News.
Time now to take a look at what's been happening in the world of sports. Joining us in the studio is our sports editor, Paul Need. Hello, Paul.
Hello there.
Let's first start with baseball. Some unfortunate news for 2 Korean stars in MLB.
Yes, I'm afraid so. Injuries to both Lee Jong-hoo and Kim Ha-sung. Lee Jong-hoo dislocated his left shoulder on Sunday in the San Francisco Giants' eventual 6-5 home win over the Cincinnati Reds. He hit the outfield fence while trying to make a catch in the first inning. He'd missed the previous 3 games with a foot injury as well, and is now going to be on the sidelines for an extended period. Meanwhile, also on Sunday, Kim Ha-sung of the San Diego Padres appeared to hurt his hand when it was struck by a 94-mile-an-hour fastball in an eventual 4-0 win over the LA Dodgers. He left the field of play and later had an X-ray, but nothing was found to be broken.
And let's take a look at golf now. A solid showing for An Byung-hun.
Yes, well, he finished third at the Wells Fargo Championship in Charlotte, North Carolina on Sunday and finished 9 under par, and a final round score of 5 under 66 helped him stay ahead of fellow South Korean Im Sung-jae, who finished in 4th place. An hit 7 birdies and 2 bogeys to earn his best ever score at the Wells Fargo. Also, it was his 5th top 10 finish of the season and 2nd in as many weeks after the Barron Nelson last week. Rory McIlroy went on to win, finishing at 17 under for his 26th career PGA Tour title and his 4th at Wells Fargo.
And moving on to football now, a huge win for Lee Jae-sung's club in Germany. What can you tell us?
Yes, huge win, and with Lee Jae-sung playing a huge role in that win as well. Now, Mainz on Sunday beat Champions League finalist Borussia Dortmund 3-0, with Lee Jae-sung scoring 2 goals in 4 minutes. The first came with 19 minutes play to make it 2-0, cutting out an attempted pass by the Dortmund goalkeeper before sending the ball into an unguarded net. The second came on 23 minutes, poking the ball into the bottom corner from inside the box. He has 6 goals and 4 assists in 28 appearances for Mainz this season. The win moves them outside the relegation zone, 2 points clear of Union Berlin with 1 game still to play. Mainz play Wolfsburg on the final day, May the 18th, with their destiny now in their own hands.
And finally, to athletics, Woo Sang-hyuk seems to be in good form with the Olympics just around the corner.
Yes, he does. On Friday, he finished 2nd in an invitational event in Qatar. He cleared 2.31 metres, as did Mutaz Essa Barshim, but Woo had to settle for silver as his Qatari rival cleared the same distance in 1 attempt. Woo needed to have 3 attempts. The event was actually hosted by Barshim, the reigning Olympic gold medal winner. Woo Sang-hyuk, who is the world indoor champion, now has his sights set on becoming the first South Korean high jumper to win an Olympic medal. He finished 4th in Tokyo in 2021.
Thank you, Paul. I'll see you next week.
Thank you. See you.
Spring rain and yellow dust have passed and blue skies came around today. Temperatures have also risen in the spring sunshine. This warm weather will continue until tomorrow. In the middle of the day, the sun will be stronger nationwide than it was today. You can continue to dress lightly during the day. However, since there are huge temperature gaps nationwide, please bring some outerwear on your way to work in the morning. In eastern areas of Gangwon province, the atmosphere is very dry. A dry weather advisory has been issued in this area, and the atmosphere will gradually dry up in other eastern regions as well. The wind is also blowing somewhat strongly, so there is a high risk of fires such as wildfires. Please take extra precautions. Tomorrow, Seoul will start off at 13 degrees Celsius. Highs in Seoul will reach 25. Chuncheon, Daejeon, and Gwangju, 26 degrees. More rain is expected in the central parts of the country and Gyeongsang-Bukdo province on Wednesday. Temperatures will drop as it rains with strong winds. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
That is Newscenter for tonight. Thank you for watching. A panel session coming up.